2. In the quiet, picture-perfect neighborhood of Maple Ridge, life felt safe. Families knew each other, kids played freely on manicured lawns, and the idea of real danger was a distant thought. At the heart of this peaceful community lived the Morgan family, Holly, Brian, and their 4-year-old twin boys, Caleb and Carter. The boys were two halves of a whole, sharing everything from their toys to the starry blue bunk bed in their room. They were inseparable. But one ordinary night, the unimaginable shattered their world. It was just after 2 a.m. when a faint noise woke Holly, a door gently closing downstairs. She dismissed it as the old house settling or the heater kicking on. A quick glance at the baby monitor showed two small figures curled up in bed, seemingly sound asleep. Reassured, she drifted back to sleep, unaware of the nightmare that had just begun. At 6:30 a.m., the morning sun streamed into the twins' room. Holly walked in, ready to start their day. "Time for preschool sleepyheads," she said softly. Carter sat up, rubbing his eyes, but the top bunk was empty. Taylor was gone. The blanket was folded back neatly, not thrown aside in a struggle. It looked as if someone had carefully lifted him from his bed. Holly's heart pounded. The window was cracked open, but only an inch, not nearly enough for a small child to climb through. A wave of pure panic washed over her. She screamed for Brian. He came running, his face draining of color as he saw the empty bed. Within moments, the chilling sound of sirens filled the tranquil morning air, as Brian's desperate 911 call brought police racing to their home. Detectives arrived and immediately began a meticulous search of the house. What they found in the backyard sent a shiver down everyone's spine. In a fine layer of dust on the patio, there were two sets of footprints. One was a set of tiny prints, the size of a 4-year-old's bare feet, Caleb's size. Beside them were the distinct impressions of adult shoes, leading away from the house and out toward the alley. This wasn't a child who had wandered off. This was an abduction. Someone had silently slipped into their home, taken Caleb from his bed without waking his twin brother just feet away, and vanished into the night. The news ripped through Maple Ridge like a shockwave. The idyllic community was gripped by fear and disbelief. Neighbors who once shared casual waves now looked at each other with suspicion and dread. Volunteers quickly organized search parties, their faces etched with worry. Police officers, canine units, and drones swarmed the area, combing every park, alleyway, and patch of woods within a 3-mile radius. Flyers, with Caleb's smiling face, were plastered on every lamppost and storefront window. The entire town held its breath, praying for a miracle. But as the hours turned into days, Caleb was nowhere to be found. 2 days into the desperate search, a hiker made a grim discovery on a wooded trail near Mill Creek. He called the police, reporting a small, brightly colored blanket lying just off the path. Officers rushed to the scene and confirmed the family's worst fears. It was Caleb's favorite blanket, the one with cartoon rockets on it. The area was immediately cordoned off as a crime scene. Investigators scoured the surrounding woods, and soon they found something even more sinister. Carved into the bark of a nearby tree was a chilling message. "You'll never find the truth." Was it a taunt? A deliberate misdirection? It was a cold, calculated message that suggested this was no random act, but a planned and terrifying crime. As investigators grappled with this new, disturbing lead, a potential suspect emerged. His name was Elias Rowe, a man who had recently moved to the area and kept to himself. Residents reported seeing him wandering the neighborhood at odd hours, often just standing and staring at houses, particularly those with young children. He had a history of mental health struggles and seemed isolated and resentful. When detectives brought him in for questioning, his answers were evasive and strange. He denied any involvement, but spoke with a chilling bitterness, rambling about how the town didn't understand him and how families didn't deserve happiness. His alibi for the night Caleb disappeared was weak and inconsistent. Still, police had no concrete evidence linking him to the crime. He was a person of interest, but they couldn't make an arrest. The investigation felt like it was hitting a dead end. A week had passed since Caleb vanished. With all other leads exhausted, detectives decided to try something different. They brought in child psychologists to speak with Caleb's twin brother, Carter, hoping he might have seen or heard something. They were careful not to pressure the traumatized 4-year-old. At first, Carter was quiet, confused, and scared. He missed his brother terribly. But then, as he played with some toys, he said something that made every officer in the room stop breathing. A man came, he whispered. He whispered to Caleb. He said he had a secret to show him. The psychologist gently asked for more details. Carter explained that the man touched Caleb's shoulder, but Caleb didn't cry. He just looked sleepy and followed the man out of the room. This was the breakthrough they desperately needed. Caleb wasn't taken by force. He was lured away by someone he seemingly trusted, someone who appeared friendly. Carter described the man as tall, with long hair and a scratchy voice. The description was a near-perfect match for Elias Rowe. With this new information, investigators had enough to secure a search warrant for the old, dilapidated cabin where Elias was known to stay. A team of officers descended on the isolated cabin, their hearts pounding with a mix of hope and dread. Inside, the scene was horrifying. They found a small drawing that Holly confirmed Caleb had made in preschool just days before he was taken. There were little toys scattered on the floor, toys that belonged to the Morgan family. In the dusty floorboards were small footprints, matching Caleb's size. But the most damning evidence was a journal. Inside, Elias had filled the pages with disturbing, rambling entries about fixing families and taking away the wrong things. The evidence painted a tragic and undeniable picture. Elias Rowe had lured Caleb from his home and taken him into the woods. A short time later, the unthinkable happened, and Caleb lost his life. Out of deep respect for the grieving family, law enforcement chose not to release the graphic details of what occurred. With the overwhelming evidence, Elias Rowe was immediately arrested and charged. The search for Caleb was over, but the community's pain was just beginning. The news of Caleb's fate sent a wave of grief through Maple Ridge. The town mourned as one. Vigils were held, and the Morgans' front lawn became a sea of candles, teddy bears, and handwritten letters of support. But the most powerful tribute came from the one person who felt the loss most acutely, his twin brother Carter. At Caleb's memorial service, the small boy stood before the silent crowd and held up a drawing he had made. It showed two stick figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. "He's still with me," Carter said, his small voice clear and steady. "He just went somewhere I can't go yet." His innocent, heartbreaking words brought everyone in the room to tears. Caleb's disappearance changed Maple Ridge forever. The illusion of perfect safety was gone. Security cameras were installed on nearly every street corner, and neighborhood watch groups formed. Parents held their children a little tighter, their vigilance a sad but necessary new reality. But out of this immense tragedy, the Morgan family found a way to create a lasting legacy. They established a foundation in Caleb's name, dedicated to supporting investigations for missing children across the state. They transformed their grief into a force for good, hoping to spare other families from their pain. The sheriff who led the investigation later reflected on the case. "Carter helped solve this," he said. "Sometimes, the smallest voice reveals the biggest truth." Caleb's memory now lives on, not only in the hearts of his family, but through the unwavering love of his twin brother. Permanent reminder of loss, community, and the enduring power of a bond that not even death could break. Thank you for watching. If you found this story meaningful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more content. Your support helps us continue to share these important stories. Stay safe out there.